I'm about to go take a last real good shower, clean up my face. Don't know if I'm gonna cut my hair. I might, possibly. I'm get ready to go. It's getting exciting. So tomorrow morning, I am leaving town to go on a spirit quest of sorts. And I told very few people.
I think you're taping. Are you taping to see for me? To each other. Daddy's taping to see for me and to each other. What? Do you think he's making his own TV show? I bet you he's videotaping to see if anybody likes it inside of his car, or steals something that's inside the car. Well, let's just say for me and to each other at the beginning of the day. Sorry.
Smells like Fritos in here.
Me and Tyler both went Fritos. I would just I'm cold. What's that video camera for?
Because, you heard me yesterday, Kylie, when we were leaving James and say I'll see you guys next week? And you asked me about it? Well, I'm going out of town right now, right after I drop you guys off. I won't be back until Sunday. As soon as I drop you guys off, I'm going to come back here and clean up a little bit, and then I'm going to be on my way. And that's why I didn't say anything to you guys until this morning, because I didn't want us to be, thinking about it all through the weekend, waiting for today to come and, have you guys thinking about how we're not going to see each other for a whole week and stuff. So that's why I waited until right now to tell you. Okay? You guys have any questions or anything? Okay. I love you guys very much.
I love you too.
I had a great weekend with you. And I will see you a week from right now. Next Monday morning I'll see you again, okay?
Are you going to be back on Sunday night?
Yeah, I'll be back on Sunday. What I'm doing now is I'm going to go home and clean up around the apartment a little bit. A friend of mine is going to come over and check on the cats a couple times while I'm gone. But I don't want it to look too pigsty-ish in there whenever she comes over. So I'm going to vacuum and just clean some stuff up. Hopefully it is 7 o'clock right now. Hopefully I'll be on the road by 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock on Monday, May 19th. And once I get on the road, I'll expound on what we're doing this week. It's very exciting. So, if I ever decide to share this, I don't know what you would call it, kind of an autobiography video log of this trip I'm on. It's going to be obvious that my ultimate goal is that I'm in search of the poem treasure. It's buried or hidden somewhere in the Rocky Mountains by, I'm sure most of the people that would be watching this video will know by now, art dealer from New Mexico. His name's Forrest Fenn. He's a Vietnam veteran. So I feel like I've kind of been trying to go on a treasure hunt my entire life, and this has really been my first opportunity to do it. Through some, twists and turns that caused things in my life to happen the way that they have, I just haven't had the opportunity. One of the things that, in researching where the treasure might be located, in watching interviews that Forrest had given, one thing that he emphasized a lot was that he thinks that he's just a guy that doesn't want to be forgotten when his time comes. He wants to be somebody that's remembered. That's how I feel anyway, and I think it's important to kind of connect with him spiritually if you're going to be the guy that finds this thing. So I'm trying to sort of follow in his footsteps in a way on this journey. And one thing that he emphasized that he thought people should do if they want to be remembered when their time comes is to write a memoir like he did when he initially published the treasure poem. So I decided that while I'm on this trip, I'm gonna be, got a lot of time in the car doing nothing. So I figured I would just kind of tell my story to the camera. At this point, the odds are pretty slim that I'm gonna find this treasure. I, of course, believe that I'm going to, but I know the odds are slim. So I kind of made a promise to myself that I would post this story to YouTube or in some way share my story with the public. But I feel like there's a lot of people out there that have looked for or have thought about looking for this treasure. There was a cop hiding under that bridge. Have to be careful. Have looked for or have thought about looking for this treasure, and I think that people will want to know the person that eventually does find it. And I think it would be pretty great if people could share this journey with me if I end up being successful. This last time around, I went as far as fully submitting applications to both Big Brother and Survivor. I had thought about doing both of them multiple times. I think probably one other time I had applied to each. But one of my, main points in my audition video was that I just don't feel like I've really been tested. I feel like I've, as difficult of times as I've had in my life, I feel like I've been able to overcome. And, I just don't, I welcome the chance to be tested, I think is what I said. Or I would have phrased it. But it just doesn't happen that often. And this is an opportunity to test myself. I've tried to avoid looking at blogs and other people's stories that have been posted on the internet because I don't want to really hear about other people's experiences. I don't want to, see someone post, oh yeah, it's not in this place, I know for sure, and then believe that person when that person really doesn't know. The world's too big and this box is too small for it to have all areas where it could possibly be to have been searched adequately to where people could eliminate the possibility that it's anywhere, And they say that, thousands and thousands of people have gone in search of the poem treasure, but I mean, how do you really know? And if I don't go and look for myself, I think I'm gonna always wish that I had. So, like Forrest said in an interview that I watched, that he gave at a bookstore in Taos that I've been to actually, which I thought was weird. He said that, you know, when he was a kid, his dad told him that you need to grab every banana. So I took that as a sign that this is a banana that I need to take a shot at. I'm going 80. There's like literally 60 mile an hour crosswind against my car, and there's a dude literally one car length behind me. Why? Talk about my kids for a minute, because I just mentioned them and they might possibly be at the beginning of this story, but oh crap, that's the 152. Okay. So my first, she came unexpectedly. You know, that's not exactly what I intended to go into the military to do, was to start a family. I was not supposed to happen that way. But the moment that I knew that she was coming, it, you know, all of a sudden I was the nucleus of something, you know. This is my first electron. I had to be with her. There was no way in hell that she was going to not know who I was. So, you know, that became the driving force in my life. And I felt like I also owed it to her to give her siblings that had the same parents, because that has been instrumental in my life as my siblings. So, as soon as I found out she was coming, she became my number one priority, and I you know, felt like everything that I did from that point on had to be with her in mind. And she just has so far, she's turned out to be pretty freaking excellent. I can't imagine anything that I would change about her. No, she's great. She's absolutely terrific in every way. And so she basically got two sisters. That was like, you know, a gift that I felt was given to her, was two sisters with the same parents. I mean, I don't think you could have beat that. In many ways, anyway. But that's the situation with them, the basic situation. That's two extreme surprises, and the third, man, she was a pain in the butt too. She ended up being breech. My ex-wife had to have a C-section. They tried to do an inversion where they like rotate the baby inside the womb and from the outside, and it looked like it was the most painful thing possible, and she, you know, could have gone into labor and been born right when that happened. Just like possibly the next day, if not the next day, within the next couple days, I had a vasectomy. As soon as we found out that she was healthy, it was like, oh, yeah, this is enough. Because at that point, it had gotten to a point where there's no way that my ex could have worked, because it would cost too much to you know, have somebody watch all these kids that we're making. So I'm working two jobs to try to cover for it. It got very expensive, you know. That's something you have to plan better for when you're young and having kids, is to make sure you have enough money to make it happen. My second and third children have been just as amazing. I don't want to sell them short at all. It's funny to see the dynamic between the three of them. It's like it was for me and my family. And I have, you know, a friend that she's in a family with a different combination of, you know, the sexes of the kids and the ages of the kids and stuff, but, you know, the positioning and the certain characteristics of the children in each position in the lineup all match up. It's funny to watch. The middle one is left-handed like me, and I'm the middle child. I don't know. It's funny that, and, you know, the youngest, she's just, you know, crazy. Just doesn't have a care in the world. And the oldest is this, you know, overachiever, like proving herself. You know, the one that's always going to be responsible. Just, she's got it all. We've made bad decisions, and was able to just barely hold it together until we ended up getting divorced. And then it was like, well, I can't be paying child support. Nobody can be living in this house, because the house was way too expensive for either one of us to live in by ourselves. So the house ended up going into foreclosure. I filed bankruptcy last year. It got real bad. It just got out of hand. But, you know, I feel like I'm on a clean slate now, and this, you know, journey is it's really like my second chance. I feel like I'm in a bad financial position right now to even think about trying to have a relationship with somebody again. But there is a woman, it's been in my life for the past, you know, almost 2 years, that I really think that I want to be with. You know, I mean, that's a story that's got to tell, but there's a lot of levels to that, and I just don't know. But she is a definite driving force in why I'm pursuing the poem treasure. This is just like, you know, I've hit the reset button, but I'm at zero. I need to get ahead, and that's what I'm searching for with this. But I also just, you know, need the time on my own to just breathe a little bit. So, 7 o'clock. I'm in Pueblo, and I'm trying to get to the Garden of the Gods before sunset. The sun is going down, and it might be a drive of about an hour. I'm going to get there right at about 8 o'clock, so I accomplished other things, though, so yeah. That's going to suck.
The Korean War had started 3 months earlier, so I joined the Air Force as a private and was sent to radar mechanics school in Biloxi. A big ugly sergeant gave me purpose for the first time in my life, and it wasn't very funny. Sometimes just lasting something out can be a triumph. To get away, I volunteered for everything I could find in the manuals. Fortunately, they needed pilots, and I was accepted into training. The problem was that I was in love with the most beautiful girl you could find anywhere. Peggy Jean Proctor was her name, and we had been dating for a few years. She was in Houston going to college, and I was traveling all over the countryside trying to learn to fly airplanes. Everyone knew that she was too good for me, but tenacity was never one of my shortcomings, if you know what I mean. Graduation from pilot training was in September, and we were married after she got her degree 3 months later. I had plush assignments, and my wife was always by my side. In my first fighter squadron, I flew the F-86D, which held the world speed record at the time. Then, as a general's aide, I flew most of the later fighters, and even went to helicopter school.
I made it here before sunset. I did it. I don't see what I came to see, but I got here. Every moment seems like it's gonna go dark, but it just doesn't go dark.
In Germany, my squadron flew the F-100C, and I sat alert with an atomic bomb under my wing. The world was tense, but for us life was good, and our first daughter was born. After a few years, an unfortunate conflict started in Southeast Asia, and I was separated from my wife and two beautiful young daughters for a year. I was reminded of what my dear friend and Texas Patriot historian Evitz Haley said of his wife Nita. It is so beautiful and fitting that only my lack of eloquence and articulacy could have prevented the words from also being mine. If Evitz were here, surely he'd allow me the fantasy pleasure of addressing them to my wife as well.
Right now at the base of Pikes Peak. I got here at probably like 3 o'clock this morning, something like that, because right when I got to Colorado Springs last night, I went to the Garden of the Gods first so I could catch it by sunset. Barely made it. Didn't get there early enough to be able to take the camera up, but I took some pictures, and I'm going to stop back by there before I head out of town after this. But I got here about 3 because I was just looking for a place to stop, and I just stopped and slept for like 2 hours in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven. It was like I felt safe at the 7-Eleven. It was kind of silly, I stopped there and slept for a couple hours, and then I got up and I drove thought I was going to be driving an hour up to the top of Pikes Peak then, but I didn't realize there was a gate. I probably should have realized there was going to be a gate. So then I stopped outside of here and then woke up at sunrise and took a bunch of pictures and stuff. And now I'm going to take a piss. And it said the gate wasn't open till 9, but people are driving through. So I guess it's 9 o'clock right now. Morning.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Sorry, my window doesn't work.
No worries. Going up to the summit?
Yeah.
Okay, $12.
Okay.
Card receipt and your map back, sir.
All right.
On your way back down, please use first or low gear.
Okay.
That keeps your brakes cool and you nice and safe.
Okay.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks a lot. Well, I wonder what it's going to look like on the way down. I bet people freak the heck out. They would have warned people about that if people were doing it. It's crazy. I wanted to make a prediction about something that I plan on doing if I do end up being successful in finding this treasure. I plan on going to Santa Fe to meet Forrest and give him the bracelet that I've heard him talk about, trick people that have tried to say that they found the treasure, and he's like, oh wow, can I buy that bracelet back from you? And they're like, oh, what bracelet? So then he knows, of course, that they didn't actually find it. But he said that he would like to have that back. So I figured I could give that back to him as long as he wills it back to me when he dies or something like that. But I plan on going straight there. Hopefully I have enough time that I don't have to extend my time being away from work. But go there and meet with him. Hopefully, possibly have dinner with him and his wife would be rad, and to be able to videotape it and just have little bits of conversation with him. That would be cool. But what I would do is I would ask him not to say anything to anyone about me finding it until after the 31st. Because on the 31st, I have plans back home that I don't want to be affected by this. So it's I kind of gotta keep it quiet until after that takes place. So I would ask him not to say anything until the 31st. And then I think almost simultaneously release a picture of me in this shirt with the treasure, with one of my chive stickers on it. Release that somehow to the chive, or just put it on the internet and see what happens. Just like very lightly, you know, drop little breadcrumbs out there and just see how long it takes for attention to develop. Or and then just allow them to contact Forrest whenever they find out. Like, if someone realizes that it's been found, allow them to contact him and let him have the first moment of revealing that it's been found. And then, like, you know, then release the first bit of video on YouTube of, like, just me and him having a sit down when I went to visit at his house. So then it looks like, oh wow, they kept this secret for like 2 weeks and this is why, and then the whole story becomes like a big deal. I think it would be really cool. Of course, this all hinges on the fact that I need to find the treasure. I would have to make sure that he was the first one to know. That's why I would go directly there and talk to him personally. And then I think that I would like go on some kind of tour with it. Try to involve him if he wanted to be. And just share it with people and see how many people really would come out to see it and what kind of attention there really is. Because I hear that, you know, thousands and thousands of people have gone looking for this thing, but I can't imagine that people regularly go to the depths that I'm about to go to search for this thing. So it stands to reason that even if people have looked in the place where I'm going, I seriously doubt that it's been searched thoroughly enough for me to just give up on this. You know, I'll never be able to stop thinking about this if I don't do it. Because then it'll never be found, and it'll be like 20 years later, and finally I'll be like 50 years old, and finally go and do this and find it, and I could have had it 20 years ago, and all this stuff that I'm bitching about that this could help fix would never have been fixed. That would be terrible. So I have to at least go and exhaust this from my brain.